Handicapping baseball. In the next few illustrations, I will talk to you about handicapping baseball games, fundamental and technical handicapping, along with some stats to include in basic models. In this segment, I will discuss the important factors of each type of handicapping and how they can be used in combination to maximize your chance of success when betting on baseball. First, let's start with the fundamental factors. The fundamental factors are more of non-stats, non-statistics, and more of feel of the game. First would be rest and fatigue. Always bet on rest. The only time teams get more than a day off is during the All-Star break in the second week of July, or around the second week of July. Nevertheless, there are opportunities to bet on teams that are more rested than their opponents. We have another system for you. When the home team has more rest than the visiting team, and the game total is 9 or more, bet the over. This system has a 58% win percentage over the last 5 years. Next will be home-away splits. MLB has one of the smallest home field advantages in sports, but that doesn't mean we ignore this factor entirely. Please remember, home games mean stability, no travel, and sleeping in your own bed. Outfielders are already acclimated to their home ballpark and all its imperfections. And finally, GMs build teams to fit their ballpark. This is all a home factor. Next would be recent performance. Assessing hot and cold streaks. The hot hand question is an idea that some people have that if a baseball player has gotten a few hits in a row, they will be more likely to get a hit in their next at-bat. Or even the flip side, a hitter on a cold streak should be due for a hit. Scientists have tried to see if this is true, but it's too hard to prove. Some people think that luck is just part of it, but others think that things like concentration, preparation, and also the park in which the game is being played can also affect players' performance. At the end of the day, all these things can have the same effect as if it was just plain luck. Next, team streaks. Bettors try to jump on teams on a winning streak and attempt to ride the hot hand. You must remember as a sports bettor that every game is independent. In such a long season, teams will win, and they will also go on losing streaks, just like a sports handicapper. And finally, the last bullet in another system that we have, fade Triple H. Triple H standing for the home hot hand. So if a home team is on a 4-game winning streak, you bet the away money line. This system would have made money in 9 of the last 12 years and comes up in the odds almost 100 times per year. Here are some more fundamental factors. Weather. Weather has 2 variables, wind being one of them. Wind blowing in towards home plate creates less runs, whereas wind blowing out produces more runs. Next would be temperature. The higher the temperature, this makes the ball travel further, resulting in higher run totals. Where when it's more cold, this results in less runs. Next would be the rule changes. The biggest rule changes this year in 2023 are pitch clock, defensive shift limits, and bigger bases. When comparing spring train in 2022 to spring train in 2023, there has been almost a half a run scored per game increase and a full stolen base attempt more per game. This is pointing to more offensive output and may result in more overs for the total. But listen, be careful. If the totals are set high early, be ready to bet the unders just in case. Ballparks or venues. A lot of handicappers look at the dimensions and shape of the outfield. Generally, smaller parks with shorter fences will favor hitters, while bigger parks with deeper fences favor pitchers. Also, look at the types of surfaces in the ballpark. Grass fields tend to favor pitchers, while artificial turf can favor hitters. Next would be technical factors, and these are more your statistics and some of the stats that you may use into a model, even though we'll go deeper into that in the presentation. So remember, don't look at traditional statistics at all, like batting average, home runs, ERA, or even wins and losses for a pitcher. Chances are these are already baked into the line. You're looking for players or teams who give their team a better chance at winning than the odds makers give them credit for. You should be considering these statistics instead when you look at baseball technical analysis. First would be scoring, runs per game. In 2022, the runs per game sat at 4.28, where in 2021, they sat at 4.53. In 2020, they were at 4.65, and in 2019, they were at 4.83. So run totals have been on a slow decline. Just note that the recent rule changes in 2023 could affect this stat and may be the most important when evaluating on multiple levels. Finally, this is a good predictive stat when building a model because it can draw up outcomes for money lines, all of the totals, which is full game, 5-inning, and team totals, and also run lines. Next would be technical factors for batting. OPS, or on base plus slugging. This is used to measure a baseball player's offensive value. It is calculated by taking the sum of the two stats, on base percentage and slugging percentage. OPS is important to handicap in baseball because it gives an indication of how successful a batter is at getting on base and hitting for extra bases. Next, BABIP, or batting average on balls in play. And this statistic is used to measure a hitter's ability to get hits on balls that they are hit in fair territory. It is important for handicap in baseball because it can help you identify players who are either getting lucky or unlucky when it comes to hits, and can give you an indication of whether or not the player's current performance is sustainable or not. So let's continue with some pitching technical factors. Starting pitches are the most dominant factor in any baseball game's outcome, and odds makers rely heavily on their recent performance to set the odds of any game. Strikeouts to walk ratio is the first one, and it's a measure of how many strikeouts a pitcher has compared to how many walks they have given up. It is important for handicap in baseball because it is a good indication of how well a pitcher can control the strike zone and minimize walks, which also lead to runs. Next would be walks per 9 inning. This is a statistic used to measure a pitcher's ability to limit the number of walks he gives up. It is important because it is an indication of how well a pitcher can control the strike zone and how effective he is at avoiding walks. A pitcher with a high walks per 9 will often struggle to get out of innings unscathed. On the other hand, a pitcher with a low walks per 9 will often be able to get out of innings without allowing a lot of runs. The next factor would be quality start percentage. And quality start percentage is an important statistic that measures a pitcher's ability to keep the opposing team from scoring many runs. It is calculated by dividing the number of quality starts by the total number of starts. A higher quality start percentage indicates a pitcher is more reliable and consistent when it comes to keeping runs off the board. If some of you don't know what quality starts means, it's when a pitcher pitches at least 6 innings and allows no more than 3 earned runs. The next factor would be WHIP, and this stands for walks plus hits per inning pitched. It is a statistic used to measure a pitcher's effectiveness in baseball. It is calculated by dividing the total number of walks and hits allowed by the number of innings pitched. It is important for handicapping baseball because it can provide an easy-to-understand measure of a pitcher's ability to limit base runners and prevent runs. A lower WHIP indicates that a pitcher is more effective at getting batters out and is thus more likely to win games. This stat is slowly replacing ERA. Next would be FIP, or fielding independent pitching. This is a statistic used to measure a pitcher's performance. It looks at a number of strikeouts, walks, hit by pitches, and home runs allowed by the pitcher, which are all controllable by the pitcher themselves and is independent of the defense behind them. This is important for handicapping because it can give an indication of how well a pitcher may perform in the future, even if their defense is not as good as it used to be or some good defensive players are out of the lineup. So next for handicapping is baseball modeling. What about modeling and what should be included in your baseball model? Well, first, you have to collect your data or statistics. This is the base of every model. You could use any statistics you want, but I provided a good starter pack back in the technical factors slides. Next, you should think about adding fundamental factors as well by putting a number on them. Some fundamental factors will already have numbers such as home and away splits, past performance, and even wind and temperature have numerical values. Also, try setting a number or tiers for ballparks. What I have done in the past is rank the highest scoring ballparks from highest to lowest in terms of runs scored, and then created tiers to symbolize a ballpark number. So for instance, Coors Field is always rated high when it comes to runs scored, so I would label them on a scale from 1 to 5, a 5. Whereas Tropicana Field has always had lower runs scored, so I would rank them a 1. So if you need guidance on where to go from here, this is step-by-step model building illustration from us at Grandstand Sports Data and how we build a model from top to bottom. Number 1, we collect and analyze data. This is what we just went over in the previous slide. Number 2, we develop the model. So using your statistics, we create a model that can accurately predict the future of performance of a team or player. So this can be anything from regression analysis to Monte Carlo simulations. You can dig as deep as you want, but make sure the prediction output is bettable. Next would be confirming the model. This is testing the model's accuracy by comparing its predictions with actual results. The next step would be optimizing the model. So this is making adjustments to the model to improve its accuracy. This could also be done by assigning weights or comparing multiple models into one big model. Next, we deploy the model. This is putting the model into practice by using it to make predictions. This is where you'll add your predicted odds so you can compare them to the odds of the market to see if you have an actual betting edge or not. And finally, and most importantly, we track the model. Track the model's performance over time to ensure it will always be accurate. We'd like to thank you for tuning in to this year's video of MLB Sports Betting 101, the ultimate guide for 2023. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more helpful betting tips and analysis. Don't forget to like, share, and comment if you found this video helpful. Until next time, stay safe and good luck on all of your baseball bets.